Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. EU members sign Samoa agreement, but Jamaica delays amid questionable wording. Government to fast-track legislative amendments following recent bomb threats. And later in sports, all set for Champions Cup kickoff this weekend. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters, and here are the details. We begin with news just in. One of the men who pleaded guilty last month in connection with the murder of politician Phillip Paulwell's daughter, Saraya Paulwell, and her mother, Tashina Patterson, was this morning sentenced. The man was sentenced to 30 years on each of the 2 counts of murder. The sentences are to run concurrently. He's to serve 20 years before he's eligible for parole. He was also sentenced to 1 year and 10 months imprisonment at hard labor each for 2 counts of kidnapping. Despite the European Union signing onto the Samoa Agreement today with 79-member Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific states, locally there continues to be issues relating to how the document has been drafted. The matter was discussed on TVJ Smile Jamaica this morning. A delay in signing of the Samoa Agreement, that announcement on Friday by Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. But it seems there is no view as to when the Jamaican government may sign on to the agreement. This as there remains contending views among civil groups. The agreement outlines common principles and covers areas including human rights, democracy and governance, peace and security, human and social development, inclusivity, sustainable economic growth and development, environmental sustainability, and climate change migration and mobility. Among the issues is that the agreement was set to bind Jamaica to undefined human rights obligations tied to trade sanctions, Article 101(7), reintroduce comprehensive sexuality education, CSE, back into schools, despite parents' outrage in 2012 with regards to CSE's sexualizing content, Article 48(7), among other concerns. Further to that, there are issues with the use of certain terminologies in the agreement. It's why advisor at the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, Phillip Davis, believes there needs to be definitions within the proposed agreement. She says until that is done, her organization will not support the government signing on to the agreement.
The interpretation, rather, of those words have changed. And so it is important for us to be clear as to what they mean. And if you look at the European Parliament's instructions to their negotiators in 2018, they insisted that there must be, in the human rights mandate of the ACP agreement, must explicitly include freedom from discrimination on sexual orientation and gender identity, which, by the way, is not accepted. There's no international consensus. Let me finish, please.
Yes.
There's no international consensus accepting those words in any international forum.
But civil society advocate Carol Narcisse has rebuffed the suggestions.
Let's be clear. Let's represent properly and accurately.
That's what I'm doing, Ms. Narcisse.
It's not in the document. But anyway...
Can I finish my point, please?
Wait 1 second.
But I haven't finished making my point.
The issue is the issue of discrimination. Is the coalition advocating that there are some citizens of Jamaica with whom they may have a disagreement about what choices they make in their lives, what expression they have as human beings? Are they suggesting that the Jamaican government should explicitly disagree with a call to non-discrimination against anyone?
Ms. Davis is therefore calling for the government to make a public statement as to its position, especially as it concerns comprehensive sexuality education, which has been taught under the Health and Family Life Education syllabus in 2012.
This agreement wants countries to bring it back in. And we asked Foreign Affairs, what are you going to do to safeguard the curriculum so that Jamaican children are not required under international agreement to be taught this sexualizing grooming material?
So there is nothing coercive in the Samoa Agreement. It is the latest in a series of agreements that Jamaica has signed and other ACP countries, 79 ACP countries.
So I want to ask this,
Carol, over decades,
we're running out of time.
Over decades,
Phillip,
nothing new.
What would work for you? Are you suggesting, it sounds to me, like you want some kind of a position statement?
Phillip wants us to renege on the agreement Jamaica has signed.
The Ministry of National Security says the scale and magnitude of the recent bomb threats are a signal that the country may need to act swiftly to amend related legislation. High on the list is the Public Mischief Act. As Jamaica Maitland reports, there have been over 80 reported bomb threats since last Friday.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the recent bomb threats has reignited the need for the revision of the Cybersecurity and Public Mischief Acts. Dr. Chang says for the first time in Jamaica's history, there have never been so many incidents of bomb threats. Between Friday, November 10 and Tuesday, November 14, roughly 80 instances were reported.
Given the scale of the disruption of the last 4 days in particular, we're examining how we can strengthen that legislation. For example, not only are we disrupting the entire education system, putting children at risk, disrupting the economy. Kingston was one of the institutions that was threatened, I think, on Monday, and then subsequent to that, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and the Commercial Shopping Centre in New Kingston. All of those are major disruption to the lives of Jamaicans and provide significant threat risk.
The Cybercrimes Act of 2015 was to be reviewed after 3 years. The government earlier this year announced that it's looking to establish a national cybersecurity authority within the next 2 to 4 years. However, with the recent threats, there are those who believe that the government must act now. During an update, Deputy Commissioner Fitzbailey said, quote, "These are no ordinary people. One person has been arrested in connection with the incident."
They use the Instagram platform, email and telephone calls. That's the method that was used to issue the threats. And we are working around the clock to ensure that justice is done.
Schools were most affected during the period. A courthouse, hospital, and a few commercial buildings, including the Kingston Wharves, also received threats. Education Minister Favour Williams says students and teachers alike are traumatized.
Our guidance and counseling unit, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Wellness and other agencies, have collaborated and formulated an intervention protocol called Response to Trauma Events, and this will be used within our schools to provide support services to students, faculty, and staff who may have experienced emotional distress as a result of the traumatic event.
In the meantime, the police says through trainings, citizens will be better able to react and respond responsibly to the incidents. The Jamaica Fire Brigade, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Office of the Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM will continue disaster drills with the institutions. Jamaica Maitland, TVJ News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has issued a charge to the local authorities in Clarendon to put an end to practices by residents that could pose a threat to the life of students at the Bustamante High School. The details in this report from Kelisha Williams.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness on a tour of the Bustamante High School in southern Clarendon. He was greeted by what appeared to be illegal electrical connections, residents extracting power from JPS's grid, route wires to their homes via lands close to the school. Mr. Holness was not pleased, citing the obvious danger to students.
The irony of it is that their own children may very well be attending the school. No, that has to stop. We put a stop to that.
I'm going to put that. We had a community meeting recently with Mr. Staple and the community people right here in the auditorium, and we explained all of this to them.
He was assured by the Custis of Clarendon, William Shaguri, and the Mayor of Maypen, Winston Mirage, that work is ongoing to stop the practice.
The community has to see the school as their own, and they should be protecting the school rather than putting the school in danger.
The Prime Minister admitted that Bustamante High and many other public schools are not where they need to be. It is why he says the government is investing additional funds in education every year. But until the transformation happens, students have to take a more active role in their own education.
No matter what is happening with infrastructure and facility, no matter what is happening with leadership, no matter what is happening with the community, when one teacher and one student bond for the delivery of knowledge, that is the core of the education experience.
Mr. Holness also promised the Bustamante High School will get increased attention to expand its infrastructure. The institution is named after the former Prime Minister and JLP leader.
It is clear that this school, which is more than 50 years old, it has gone through some amount of improvement and upgrading, but the facilities cannot carry the capacity of the school. The number of students that are here, the subjects that are required to be taught, the equipment that is required to teach these subjects properly, you don't have. So there needs to be some support for the school and its facilities.
The contribution will also come from the JLP and will benefit the school's tuck shop, farm, and its track and field program. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Another appeal this afternoon to parents and teachers to continue to engage students using technology and technological gadgets. Minister of Education Phillip Williams stressed that the need is great, as in another 2 years, many of the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC exams will be done online. Herman Green has more.
We have been working to ensure that all our students have a device. We're not done yet, so if you haven't gotten a device, you know, it's still in your future.
Not a promise, but a commitment to Jamaican students by the Education Minister. Phillip Williams says her ministry will deliver because the region will move away from paper-based examinations very soon.
In only a few short years, those of your children who will be doing CSEC and CAPE, a lot of the exams are going to be online. CXC has been telling us that they are going to be having the exams online. So we have to prepare you for that eventuality, and it's not too far away. In less than 2 years, you'll be taking those exams online.
She explained every Jamaican high school now has high-tech laptops and desktop computers in their computer labs. These are available for students to get competent in basic skills such as typing. The Education Minister was speaking at the commissioning of a Wi-Fi system in Jarrett Lane in Eastern St. Andrew. She explained it's a continuation of the state's commitment to ensure more Jamaicans can interact with technology in a productive way.
I'm delighted that we're able to bring you a free community Wi-Fi, and it's here in the square for all to use.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. Cygnus Credit Investments is looking to raise capital through a dual currency preference share offer. The firm is aiming to bring in $20 million and 800 million Jamaican dollars. This will be across 3 classes of preference shares. The Jamaican dollar Class C shares are selling at $100 each, with a 10.5% return over 2 years. The Class D US dollar shares are going for $10 each over 2 years at 8%. And an 8.5% return is being offered for the Class E US dollar shares, also going at $10 each over 3 years. The offer opens on November 20 and is set to run until December 6. The funds will be used to expand its private credit portfolio, to scale the business and achieve its strategic goals. More than $75 million is earmarked for private credit opportunities across Jamaica. JMMB Securities Limited is the lead broker and co-arranger. In international business, UK inflation fell sharply in October to its lowest rate in 2 years, largely due to lower energy prices. Inflation, which measures the rate at which consumer prices rise, dropped to 4.6% in the year to October, down from 6.7% the month before. The government says its pledge to halve inflation by end of the year has been met early. And that's it for the Business Minute. And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In this evening's health report, we look at obese diabetics.
There are multiple factors which contribute to a patient becoming obese. There is the lifestyle. Some patients may be in an environment maybe where you work. The options for meals are meals which are high in carbohydrate content, high in calories. You may not have the opportunity to work out or exercise. But there are other factors. There is definitely some amount of genetic influence. There are other factors. The stress at work can increase hormonal signaling, things like cortisol, which may help you, the obese person, to retain their weight and retain calories and put on more weight.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Lose extra weight, be more physically active, eat healthy plant foods, and eat healthy fats.
And the time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the government of Belize has listed a number of measures against Israel, which continues to bomb Gaza despite repeated calls for a ceasefire. The measures, which will take immediate effect, include withdrawing its agreement for the accreditation of Israel's ambassador-designate to Belize. All activities conducted by the Israeli honorary consulate in Belize and the appointment of the honorary consul are suspended. The government of Belize is further suspending all activities of Belize's honorary consulate in Tel Aviv, Israel, and withdrawing the appointment of its honorary consul. On the international scene, Israeli military force launched a targeted operation against Hamas early Wednesday morning inside Gaza's largest hospital, Al-Shifa, where thousands of Palestinians are believed to be sheltering. Israel has accused Hamas of operating from tunnels beneath the facility. However, the militant group and hospital officials have denied those claims. Conditions at the hospital have deteriorated rapidly in recent days amidst intense fighting, with doctors warning of a catastrophic situation for patients, staff, and displaced people still inside. And those were the top regional and international stories.
Thanks, Andrea. We head to a quick break. When we come back, Jordan Ford will have your midday sports report.